barricades whisper in the hall, where justice wears a mask and truth begins to fall. Every thread they pull, every lie they weave, in the courtroom's dance, who's left to believe? Oh, the devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end. The devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end in sight. A photograph fades where the truth once stood, blurred lines between the bad and the good. The scales they tilt with every silver tongue, while the broken cry for a song unsung. Black robes sway like shadows on the wall, one wrong word and the mighty fall. Who's a sinner? Who's a saint? The jury's out, but the verdict's faint. Oh, the devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end. The devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end in sight.
Well, hello out there, everyone. Welcome to Devil's Advocates. It's great to be here with you on a Sunday night. I hope everyone out there had a fantastic day. And we have a great show again for you tonight. As most of you know, but if you don't know, I'll let you know. Boss Man, otherwise known as Lee, has the night off. He usually takes Sundays off so he can rest and recharge a little and just do something other than this. So, gotta let the man have a day off now and again. Whatever. But anyhow, no. So, yeah, he definitely needs a break now and again. So, but we are here with you, the rest of the panel. I'm not sure if I'm hoping we have Dago this evening, but we do have JJ from State of the Deep. And of course, we have everyone's favorite vampire and mine, 1-1, backstage as well. So, we're going to be talking some Kurt Cobain again tonight, every Sunday. Right now, we're doing a deep dive into the circumstances surrounding Kurt Cobain's death, like the cases we tend to follow. This one also doesn't pass the sniff test based on mainstream media and what they would like us to believe. So we're going to be delving into that a little bit more tonight. So, but I do see we have our amazing mods in the house. We have Amanda B, and we have Pennywise, and we have Essie May. So they are with us tonight. Going to keep an eye on the chat, keep everyone happy, and all that. Would ask everyone to make sure to be respectful. We want you to have a difference of opinion if you do so have one, but just be respectful. We want everyone to have a good time. We want to get into the case, and we don't want to. We just want everyone to have a good time. So, and it looks like we have Jules Down Under with us tonight. Good to see you. We have Christina Reynoldson. Nice to see you again, of course. We have Cat K15 in the house. Very good to see you. Mittens for Kittens. I love that. I love that name, by the way. So good to see you again tonight. I love looking through here and seeing all of the familiar names. but we also love welcoming in new people. So make sure if this is your first time that you let us know whether it's your first time seeing our channel at all or whether you're new to the lives. Um, Sometimes our replay crew, which we value immensely, they do sometimes get the chance to pop in and they'll be like, hey, first time being able to do a live, so which is always cool. So looks like we have Tanya Dos Dosi. Sorry, I'm probably butchering that, but good to to, well, anyway, you know who you are. You know who you are. It's very good to see you. We have Dana. Uh, Good to see you. I recognize you, of course. And it looks like we have Lady G. Nice to see you. Cami Harbaugh. Nice to see you. Yeah, love seeing all our familiar friends. Redacted doing redacted. Hey, mean girl. Am I the mean girl? I'm not sure who you're talking to, but anyway, welcome in. I know you definitely. And we got Big Mikey Bam. Oh, good to see you, Big Mike. Nice to see you, as always. Oh my gosh, some of the emojis just crack me up. But anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring up JJ. Well, maybe I'm not because I don't know. It's like herding cats, people. No, I'm going to go ahead in that case and bring up one moment. Okay. Did you freeze? Uh-oh. People are freezing up on me. Uh-oh. They'll be back momentarily. In the meantime, in the meantime, I hope everyone has been having a good day out there. And of course, there's always stuff going on in our cases. If you don't know, we do follow, of course, Idaho 4. We also follow the Mickey Steins case, which is a crazy one. That is out of Letcher County, Kentucky, and that is going to get crazy. So, but as well as Delphi, we're following that one now. And also, of course, the Long Island serial killer. So, those are our main cases. However, like I said, on Sundays, we do go over Kurt Cobain. And so now here they are. All right. Are we ready, gentlemen? Gentlemen, start your engines. Here comes. Why can I not bring up JJ? Okay, this is odd. Can I add anyone to this stage? Ah,
Hey,
there you are.
oh, there we go. Yeah, that was weird. I was completely
I,
frozen.
yeah, and I had to keep hitting the button like 4 times, and I'm like, what is
I,
happening?
I
But
know.
anyhow, you're here, and that's all that matters. So, how are you, gentlemen, today?
I'm great. What's up, Robin?
Good.
What's up, One? What's up,
Excellent.
denizens, meatballs, and mods? How you guys doing?
Yeah. So, if you are coming over from Dago's channel, which is the True Crime Cafe, thanks for stopping on over, hanging out with us tonight. I'm not sure where he is. He
Um,
didn't say
s-
he wasn't coming,
Someone
but
posted earlier. I didn't want to interrupt you when you were doing your
oh,
beginning thing. Someone said his throat or something was bothering him.
oh no, oh, that sucks.
S-
Oh, I hope he
So
gets feeling better. He had that migraine there. What was it?
yeah,
Day before yesterday or whatever. So, oh gosh, it's always something. I know he was not
yeah,
feeling good the other night. So, but well, he will be sorely missed, of course. But we got a lot to get into here. So, you want to take it away and get us started off right here?
sure. Evening, everyone. JJ, Robin, denizens, meatballs. Those far, far from other galaxies. Thank you for joining us. Is it good to be alive? in the den on a Sunday night.
Yeah.
Lower your voice, slow your breath. Some stories don't end, they just stop being questioned. An official conclusion, a signature, a file closed while the ink was still wet, and the silence that followed was loud. This is Devil's Advocates, where we don't rush past discomfort, where we sit with it long enough for the details to start whispering back. Tonight, we enter a death that has been embalmed by time and myth, a death the world was told to accept quickly before doubt could take root. Kurt Cobain was already fading in the public eye before he disappeared completely. Addiction, exhaustion, pressure that never let up. And when he was found, the explanation came ready made. Simple, final, convenient. But when you slow the story down, when you step away from headlines and into the margins, things begin to feel off. A level of heroin that challenges physical possibility, a weapon positioned in silence, a timeline stitched together with assumptions instead of certainty, voices nearby that never quite synced, questions written off as grief or madness or nuisance. Details don't scream, they murmur. And the louder the world insisted the case was over, the quieter the unanswered parts became. Was Kurt suicidal? Was he desperate? Or was he something else entirely, isolated, trapped, and surrounded by forces that benefited from a simple ending? Tonight isn't about declaring answers, it's about acknowledging the unease, because the most dangerous stories aren't the ones with clear villains, they're the ones where doubt was never allowed to breathe. So we lower the lights, we strip away the legend, and we listen to what was left unsaid. This is Devil's Advocates, where the official version is only the beginning, and the silence around Kurt Cobain's death gets heavier. And with that, live from New York, it's Sunday night.
All right. That was cool. Thank you very much. Your openings are always excellent, sir.
Thank you. Try
Okay,
to
so
keep them fresh.
they are. I love how you tailor them. That's awesome. Yeah. Cool. So
So where are
last
we?
week,
Oh yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
yep, I was just gonna say, no, last week we left off, I believe we have been talking about Callie and
Yeah,
Jessica, and then I think we were
Jes-
gonna get into it
Callie.
from
Yeah,
there.
Callie and Jessica Hopper, and we're basically where we basically got was right at we left off that Kurt flew to Seattle. So we
Right.
kind of we
Okay.
covered his we covered like what was going on kind of behind the scenes before that. So we're kind of right at he goes to Seattle, and you know now like the big thing is kind of where did he go from there? What information do we have? What else was going on behind the scenes? 'Cause there's a lot. There's a lot of
Right.
stuff here. Some of it we know, some of it we kind of know, like 80-90%. Some of it is speculation. Um, so I'm not talking about his you know, suicide, alleged suicide, murder. We're just getting to what was he doing in Seattle? Where did he go? What was happening? What was Courtney, what was she doing? Because all this, so you know, Kurt goes missing, and this is when Tom Grant enters the picture, and
Okay.
all this. So there's a lot of moving parts. Um, so I will kind of. We're gonna get a little bit more down. We're gonna get a little bit more into Callie and Jessica a little bit later. But I wanted to kind of what kind of the end of what we were talking about last week too, which we made a big point is that in my opinion, I mean the evidence is there. I mean Courtney Love basically was like, she was grooming, Callie and
Right.
Jessica. She's,
Right.
she was their way of uh, getting to anything that they wanted, important, drugs, access, all that stuff.
Yeah, these
She
young
got a hold of,
impressionable
yeah,
people.
exactly. She got a hold of them when they were very young, and this is before she was connected to Kurt. So she already
Right.
had a friendship. I, I don't even really want to, I don't even really consider it a friendship. It's
Right.
but whatever.
Manipulating
That's whatever. I
them.
mean, right,
Yeah.
manipulation. I think it's probably anything but friendship. But um,
Right.
her relationship with them preceded. Was before Kurt was in the picture. So uh,
Right.
so kind of like this was kind of brought out Courtney Love. I don't know if those of you, I don't know if anyone here watches Orange is the New Black. She's kind of similar to, there's a character V on that show. Um, Character V finds orphan children, street kids, gives them and kind of gives them motherly love since they've been missing. And then she turns them into dope dealers. Um,
Okay.
So Courtney Love is kind of like is sort of like the 90s version of this V character. Uh, she was a big groomer of Jessica Hopper and Callie DeWitt. Um, and we'll talk about a few other people in this video. So
Okay.
we have there's this I don't know how he got it. There's this guy, Scott on Tape is his name. He's got a YouTube channel. Apparently he's got some like weird, like different videos and stuff that have to do with Kurt Cobain. I believe he's a Canadian YouTuber. So
Oh, cool.
yeah. So what um let's see. We're gonna show some. So we're gonna show maybe and talk about some spots that Kurt possibly went to. So Scott, he has a whole bunch of spots. Some of them are like speculation. Some of them we know for sure. No, I mean if you want to check that out, later time. But we're gonna kind of maybe only talk about some of the very specific places. So, one point, what I'd like to mention, I've already said, Courtney, had this connection with Callie DeWitt even before she met Kurt Cobain. So these kids were they were like a package deal to Courtney Love. They're living in like Washington home because Courtney wants them there. not because Kurt wants them there. That's a key point, right? So they don't have, there's
Seems
no
like
allegiance. There's no allegiance to Kurt. So they're
no, of
living,
course not.
right. So, and um so Kurt comes home, he makes it a point to go to their bedroom, the guest bedroom at 6 a.m. while they're still sleeping, and to say that he's home and he left Exodus. Okay. And he tells, he's like, this is interesting. Tell Courtney that I'm fine. This is what Hopper claims. And she says, no, 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 you got to call Courtney. So this is kind of what's interesting. Okay. So we know that Callie and Callie and Hopper have this relationship, right? To
Hmm.
Courtney. So now he flies to Seattle, right? He left the rehab, right? And he's there.
Right.
And Courtney is at a hotel, right? And so, oh, okay, Kurt, I don't know where he went. He went missing. But this is Courtney decided, she tells the hotel that she's not accepting phone calls.
Yeah, which
So,
was so stupid.
right. And then she goes and tells the media that Kurt escaped Exodus. So, like, you're someone that goes missing, that, and obviously, like, on this level, I mean, does it make any sense at all that you wouldn't accept phone calls? Like, this, it just
Yeah.
baffles.
So somebody that you think is gonna, do harm to themselves, you don't want to make yourself available for phone calls?
Right. Um, so this were her words, and he was never heard from again until he committed alleged suicide and was found dead.
Hmm.
Uh, so Kurt went home. He woke up. He woke up these people that he knows are Courtney's lackeys, Courtney's assistants, whatever you want to call them. They're loyal to her, uh, and he wants a divorce. So it seems Kurt made a point to walk in their room at 6 a.m. to wake them up, to say that he was home, to say he's fine, knowing that they're going to tell Courtney, and that gets Courtney off his back. That's what it makes sense to me. He knew that they were close.
Do you guys know? Yeah, but how did he? I've never really heard. How did he get along with them? Wh-
Um, I haven't seen anything
Do
that
you know, JJ?
I haven't seen anything that said he didn't get along, but they were
They're
her
mainly her
people,
friends.
but you know they were her people. So
Right.
um so yeah, go ahead, JJ. You had
No,
something?
I was just gonna
Oh,
say
okay.
I never heard a lot of stuff that made it seem like he was close with them. They
Right.
seem to
Okay.
be, and based on everything we've talked about, they were always involved in the music scenes and
Yeah.
peripherally, both in the Riot Girl movement. I know Jessica
Right.
Hopper was, and then
Mm-hmm.
with the music scene. So they were like, peripheral people in that scene. But I never got the impression that he was really close with them.
Okay. Okay. That kind of makes sense to me. Yeah. Angie B says he tolerated them, but he knew anything he did would be told to her. Yeah. Yeah. Like
Right.
you're saying, one.
Well,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
exactly. So that's right. So that's my point. Like, you would think, so he would think, he wakes them up, that she would know that Kurt is there.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
sure she did know that he was
I'm
there.
sure she did in that
Right.
case. Yeah.
Exactly. That's right. That's my another main point. Um so um so was Kurt missing, or did he let people know he was alive? and well, and then retreated. So he liked to go to a place over there called the Aurora Strip to feed his addiction. This is a well known, well documented thing, as he's done several times before. Um, they treat they treat it as if Kurt had never taken off before, had never went days staying in seedy motels doing heroin. These are things he did over the last few months of his life several times over. It wasn't new. It might not have been like thrown out there necessarily in the public eye,
Yeah.
but
And
he did.
she was always saying though that she tried to say that he was
Yeah,
always staying at fancy places
wrong.
to do this.
Yeah, that's my next point.
Oh,
That
I'm sorry.
no,
Go
no,
ahead.
that's
I'm
fine. No,
sorry.
go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
You're
that's
right.
all I was gonna
You
say
that's
was that
exactly
it just
right. That's exactly the point. He didn't drive. So this is interesting. So he didn't drive this particular day on April 2nd because Courtney had slashed the tires to his old Plymouth to Aurora, get a cheap motel, and retreat for days or weeks. These are things he had done before. It's no coincidence that he spotted in this area during that week. He's already checked in again with Courtney's assistants, with Hopper and Callie, and he takes off to do
right.
what he wants to do. Um, it's again, it's free country. He's in the process of he has divorce on his mind, and he doesn't look at himself at this point that he's loyal to Courtney anymore. He's independent man doing his own thing.
Yeah.
So if any of you out there if you ever tried to break up with somebody and like it's over, it's done, but they don't know, they're not willing to let it go. They just can't accept it. Um, you know, after Kurt's death, you want to think, uh, but we want to try to stay in chronological order of his
Right.
last days here. So you can play you go to the first video.
Okay.
Depressed, and he wrote basically a suicide note. There's no real other way. He claims he was leaving me.
I'm gonna back that up a second because it wasn't really this is just audio.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
It's just a
Okay. Just want to make sure everyone can hear it. So
He got
here
real
we go.
depressed, and he wrote basically a suicide note. There's no real other way. He claims he was leaving me.
Do you still have all the notes? The note from Rome and the original note here?
Yeah, Detective Cameron gave me back the note from Rome, and he said, I would destroy this if I were you. It's not going to do you any good.
Why would somebody tell you to get rid of that?
Because it wasn't really nice. They talked about getting a divorce.
Okay, so after Kurt dies, she begins telling people, in fact, Rome was not an accidental overdose. It was, in fact, his first suicide attempt, and that he had left her a suicide note, but she was told to keep quiet about it. That's why she never mentioned it to anybody prior to his death. Conveniently, Detective Cameron, that's who you heard there talking to her, who I want
Okay.
you to remember, he's part of another part of the story. He tells her to destroy the note. Now listen to that. He tells her to destroy the note. Now there's no comparison. They could have compared the handwriting to each note. The one from April 8th, the one from Rome, to see if they matched. But it's gone. But conveniently, Detective Cameron told Courtney Love to destroy it. Because she destroyed the note, it's just her word against the dead guys who can no longer speak. In the same conversation, she admits that Kurt told her it was a divorce note, a Dear John letter, I'm leaving you. But in her mind, but I know better, it was a suicide note. It wasn't a divorce letter, it was a suicide note. This is a woman who cannot accept the fact that her husband wants to leave her. We've all had that person who you've dated that you just couldn't accept the fact that you were leaving them. Probably, I bet 90% of you out there have had one partner who was crazy. This definitely is an unstable woman, without question.
Wow.
So, so I'm not leaving the world. He's basically saying he's not leaving the world. He's leaving her. This is what was coming to the end here. So we absolutely
Right.
know for sure that after checking in with Callie DeWitt and Jessica Hopper at about 6 a.m. on April 2nd, a cab company drops him off at 145th and Aurora on the Aurora Strip. We know this for sure because this particular cab company kept a meticulous log. At 8:30 a.m., the car dropped him off at the Crest Motel Trailer Park on 145th and Aurora Avenue. In case you don't know what the Aurora Strip is in Seattle, it's a 20-mile long strip of nothing but hookers and junkies and people turning tricks to get dope. And and it's like about 20 miles. You could play video 2.
Okay.
a.m., the car dropped him off at the Crest Motel Trailer Park on 145th and Aurora Avenue.
Okay.
It remains seedy all the way. It's where people go to get lost. It's the seedy underbelly of Seattle. You can go to video 3.
Junkies and people turning tricks to get dope, and it's like 20 miles long, and it remains seedy all the way.
This is not the first time Kurt Cobain was known to go there and disappear for days. He's done it before. So, matter of fact, there is now an infamous motel, the Marco Polo Motel, where he frequented on Aurora Avenue, not far from the Crest Motel Trailer Park. And he loved to stay in room 226. Kurt was often seen at the Crest Trailer Park, as well as the closing in. But his favorite place on Aurora Avenue was the Marco Polo. You could go to video 4.
Okay.
Often seen at the Crest Trailer Park, as well as the Close Inn, but his favourite place on Aurora Avenue was the Marco Polo.
Oh, the old Marco Polo. I had a friend of mine staying at a hotel there who was strung out, and he was wanted for a murder warrant. His girlfriend got murdered. He didn't do it. They thought he did it. And he had stayed, I think it was at the Marco Polo when she brought that up. So that was the
place to go on Aurora?
I guess it was, wasn't it? Yeah.
I mean, Kurt apparently even had a favourite room, 226.
Wasn't that a GBA song? Drugs Party in 226? I think it's from 226. Drugs Party in 226. That's probably why.
Sleeping on that train, a couple of hours, we all again. I couldn't be big man, the Tennessee Blues said, hey, you like, we want you. We had a drugs party.
Wonder why those numbers outside of that room might be. That could be significant somehow.
The 226. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so he seemed to always pick this room 226. And it was like secluded. It was a room kind of in the back, and that that's what he liked to go to. You can go to video 5.
So this is Kurt's room, huh?
Yeah. This was the hangout.
This is where he was one of the last places he was seen.
Yeah.
It's a great little room.
It was quieter, it was more out of the way.
Yeah, kind of situated off to the back here.
He could have whoever coming and going. I think he did it to escape, but of course there was a certain environment on Aurora here, which was the Wild West.
Yeah,
I've
read extensively.
Yeah.
Really cool. Thank you so much for letting me see this.
Yeah, but I can tell you that maybe except for the carpet, it mostly has stayed the same. All of these, the only thing that may be missing at this point is this was one of those little wooden folding things.
So you could privacy
Sort of,
barrier. Yeah.
But you can see he or whoever stays in here, it's out of the traffic, it's out of the way. There are no windows to the outside traffic area.
So here I am in room 226 at the Marco Polo, where Kurt Cobain liked to stay.
All right. I like his hair. Maybe I should try. No, he's good. I like that guy.
Yeah, no, it's some
Cool.
haircut.
Good old mohawk.
So this it wasn't weird for him to disappear for a few days going there. Couple of facts what he told the people staying at his house he was back in Seattle, and we all believe he was missing the last week because Courtney Love told the media that, right? And the media conditioned us to think about it that way. So again, that video that was from Scott on tape. That video of the 226.
Okay.
So following Kurt around Seattle the next day, April 3rd, this is the same day that Courtney Love meets with Tom Grant, private investigator. But we're following Kurt Cobain. It's the second to last day to his life, and apparently he's spotted outside Jack in the Box in Seattle's Capitol Hill. Now,
Jack in the Box. Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go again. I know. What is it with that? What is it with this damn place? Where have I heard that before?
I don't know. I don't know where we would have heard that.
So it's no surprise to me, and he's spotted by fans, passerby. So there's no question he was there.
Uh-oh.
What happened?
I'm being told not to get a mohawk by my lady. He's like, no mohawk for you.
So not only did he like to eat at Jack in the Box, but his drug dealer, Caitlin Moore, was right around the corner. And Chris Novoselic, in an interview, actually talks about trying to have a one-on-one with Kurt on March 23rd, just a couple of weeks earlier, in which Kurt asked him to come over to pick him up and take him to that Jack in the Box. The reason why Kurt couldn't drive himself is, like I said, Courtney had slashed the tires to his Volvo and his Plymouth. Kurt didn't drive fancy cars. He drove old, dirty, grungy cars.
That fits. That fits. I can't see him driving super, like a Jaguar or something like that.
Yeah. He wasn't.
Seems to fit his personality.
Yeah. Right. Not everyone's into fancy cars. Right.
Look how he dressed.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And he didn't shower for days sometimes.
Yeah.
Right.
He was a rock star, and he just dressed like he always did.
Right.
Yeah. He didn't put on airs or.
Yeah. So Chris was trying to have a conversation with Kurt on the drive to get some Jack in the Box. Kurt says, I don't want to go to Jack in the Box in University District. I want to go to Jack in the Box in Capitol Hill. Jack in the Box in University District was closest, but Kurt, his excuse was the burgers at the one in Capitol Hill were less greasy. So Chris goes on to tell us that Kurt, in fact, had called his drug dealer, told her to meet him outside Jack in the Box at Capitol Hill, and he used Chris for a ride. They subsequently got into an argument, and Novoselic was mad that his friend was continuing to use. He wanted, he was trying to get Kurt clean. So, and Kurt took off. So the fact that passerbys and fans spotted Kurt outside Jack in the Box in Capitol Hill tells us that he more than likely hooked up with Caitlin Moore that day, while Courtney Love is in Los Angeles telling Tom Grant that no one has seen Kurt. Kurt has talked to no one. And even though she knows he just talked to Callie DeWitt the previous day. So she was flat out
Oh, boy.
lying. She definitely
Yeah.
knew that he arrived in Seattle. There's no question.
Wow. So
Kurt's,
so he wasn't
yeah,
even like
he
really
wasn't even really
like
missing.
no.
No, he
And
wasn't.
she goes out and she hires this private investigator before he really even goes missing.
Yeah. Well,
Now, if
there's
that
more. I'm
doesn't
gonna get into
scream
that. Yeah.
premeditation,
Yeah.
I don't
Right.
know what does.
We'll get into why she hired him in a bit. We're gonna get there. So Kurt's in Capitol Hill eating Jack in the Box. Probably has met up with Caitlin. So of course, like, we don't know 1,000%. It's a speculation. And he probably scored some dope. That was his drug dealer. He also runs into Charles Peterson in front of Linda's Tavern this same day in Capitol Hill. The last time he saw Kurt was on the street, Capitol Hill, outside of Linda's Tavern. He wasn't looking so good, but it was nice to see him. He claimed he gave me his new number, and I think he was out looking to score. So this is what's really kind of bothersome about April 3rd more than any other days. Charles Peterson is somewhat of a well-known photographer. For those who don't know, he kind of put a face to the grunge scene.
Okay.
You've probably seen quite a bit of his photographs. He's photographed a ton of bands like Tad, Mudhoney, Nirvana, all these bands coming out of Tacoma, Seattle, Olympia. And he's kind of part of Kurt's inner circle. So is
Okay.
Caitlin. His drug dealer is part of Kurt's inner circle. This is April 3rd. This is why April 3rd, 1994, it really has to trouble you and make you suspicious of Courtney. So it's like right there saying he's missing. He's not missing. She knew, maybe she didn't know every like little place that he went, but she knew pretty much where he was. So she tells Tom Grant and later the world that everybody knows Kurt is suicidal. Everybody thinks he's going to kill himself. But on April 3rd, Kurt runs into, and we know for certain, he runs into Charles Peterson. Kurt even offers Peterson his new number. He says, "Here's my new number. Let's hang out sometime." Does that sound like something somebody who's getting ready to kill themselves would do?
No.
Oh, here's my new number. Give me a call next week. Right?
Yeah, that's not something you typically do if,
Yeah.
you're planning on not being there any longer.
Right. So, and this is another thing that's troubling. Caitlin, who's his big drug connection there, and Charles were both part of his inner circle, right? And they had never heard anything about Kurt being suicidal. If they had heard something about it, had Courtney put this out to the media, Charles Charles probably would have said, "Hey," to Kurt, "Hey man, you're on the news. Your wife's telling people you're suicidal. Maybe we should get you some help or something, right?" If he's with these close people and his wife is putting out, "Oh, he's suicidal," this is very, very interesting. So, contrary to popular belief, Courtney Love did not go public and say that Kurt was missing or that he was suicidal publicly until after his death. Because he wasn't missing. This is what you have to really, pay attention to the narrative that's put out there. She never did it until after his death, because if he was still alive, he would have been able to contradict what she was saying. Now, at that time, the word suicide was never used by the media, by Courtney, by Kurt. It was portrayed as an accidental drug overdose. he recovered from the coma, and his publicist said the incident was an accident. So we're talking about the Rome incident, not a
Oh,
suicide
okay.
attempt. Yeah. Soon as Kurt died, soon as he was gone out of the picture, first interviews Courtney gave, she started talking about his previous suicide attempts. So Rome was a suicide attempt. Courtney started telling people that Kurt had swallowed 60 pills. So we decided to contact the doctor that treated Kurt in Rome, Dr. Gaeta, and he categorically denied that there were 60 pills in his stomach and that it was a suicide attempt. At that time, Kurt and Courtney had both said it was an accident, and the doctor confirmed that. So there's no evidence. There's just no evidence that he ever tried to kill himself before. There's no anecdotal evidence. Nobody else close to Kurt ever said he tried to commit suicide, but the world just took Courtney's word for it.
Yeah, that
You
just
find
a
me,
whole other
yeah,
thing
yep,
about,
fi-
total wrong facts, total,
yep,
just a bullshit story that mainstream media is pushing to this day. To the
yeah,
like, how we were talking the other night about Chat GPT is
yeah,
like fighting you. It won't it's kind of like whitewashing everything,
right,
and so when I tried there, and I tried like Gemini,
uh-huh,
and I think Claude, and none of them wanted to say that he was murdered. They
yeah,
just kept going with the same old. And I'm like,
yeah, yeah,
okay, who's pulling those strings?
And
right,
no, it's something that always comes to mind when you talk about like the fact that she hired a private investigator and she didn't make it public about him being suicidal till after the fact. If it would
Right,
have been public, then people that knew him that might see him or be able to go try to find him could
right,
have intervened and then, diverted the
right,
course of
of
what ended
course,
up happening. So it's just like the control mechanisms that she had in place were obvious.
uh-huh,
It
right,
was she
right,
wanted to have her little secret agents trying to be around him, and rather than other people that were friends that she didn't have the control over. And it just seems so obvious to me that is why she did not release that information
right,
till afterwards.
right. Absolutely,
right.
absolutely.
If you try to do any research on it, like try to find a publication, a mainstream publication, uh, where Courtney Love is either on video or quoted as saying he's suicidal that is dated before April the 3rd, you're not going to find it. You won't find it. So everything that sure, she did many things after, but they're all dated. Uh, was that? Oh, I think Lee just sent me a message. They're
Yeah,
dated all over April 8th. So
yeah. Well, now, and that was the thing too. Didn't she? What the hell was it that she told Tom
mm,
Grant about? Shit. Never mind. Go on. I'll think of it
well,
later.
I might get to it, and
Yeah.
it might come to you as I'm covering this.
Yeah.
Um, so now she tells Tom Grant prior to his death, and I believe there's probably a couple other people that she was friends with that she said these things to as well, out in the open, out to the media, that shit never happened until after Kurt was dead. Now had she done that, perhaps Caitlin, perhaps Charles Peterson would have attempted to help him, and that exactly what JJ had just said. Like, forget about the public, want to his autograph, want to see him or whatever, but people who are actually in his inner circle, who's hanging out with, if they had any like word like, oh, this guy is depressed or something's wrong, I would think someone would try to get him help.
Right.
So the question is, why didn't she? You know, we wish she would have, but we all know that Courtney has no problem putting her business out for the whole world to hear, right? Airing her dirty
Right.
laundry. But when it comes to the life or death of your own spouse, you decide to keep it secret among a couple of friends and the police. So
Yeah.
why the secrecy? What's up with the secrecy? She couldn't say it publicly because had Kurt been alive, you know, she would have looked like a fool, and everybody would have been suspicious of her. So there's one more sighting on April 3rd. It's speculation. It's something to do with this place called the Cactus Restaurant. You know, you can look at it, but it's kind of it's not completely confirmed. So as we know, 48 hours later, he's gone. According to the medical examiner, Dr. Hartshorn, who we will talk about further down. We'll talk about something else here. Kurt wasn't talking to Courtney. He wanted to go. He wanted to use heroin or whatever. But there were other people that he was still, getting along with. That he just all of a sudden quit calling. So specifically, you had Michael Stipe of REM, Mark Lanigan of the Screaming Trees, and Roddy Bonham, his good friend from Faith No More. Well, we can never know exactly what was going on in Kurt's head, but here's a question: kind of ask yourself if you were an addict and you just run away from rehab, how would you feel? You would possibly want to relapse, right? So,
right.
If you look into any research, if you look up addicts and relapses and stuff like that, the two biggest emotional signs of relapse is isolation and not talking to people. Not talking to those who care about you. So he wanted to postpone conversations. He was ashamed of himself and people who cared about him. They were his friends. They wanted to see him clean, and he wanted to go use. So of course he's not going to call him. He doesn't want the guilt trip. He doesn't want to upset them. He doesn't want to feel that he's let them down. So he's going to postpone that. And that isolation, that not calling anybody, that's actually normal behavior for an addict who has relapsed. So if you look it up yourself, it says that 70 to 90% of opiate addicts do relapse, and they at least slip up at least once. 60% of addicts. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say that it's no surprise, as we all know, because of what drugs do to your mind, and that's what they're designed to do is to keep you hooked. So it's no wonder, and it's not right that people are looked down on because they cannot kick something or have great difficulty in overcoming those odds when those drugs are designed to do that. And just real quick, everyone, trigger warning, as most of you know, but if you don't know, here on this channel we talk about adult situations, we use adult words, and that includes some F-bombs sometimes and so forth and so on. So this is not a kid-friendly channel. I probably should have put up the who's-y what's-it thing, the disclaimer.
Parental, yeah.
So I'll do that.
There you go.
There we
There you go.
All right. Continue on, sir.
All right. So about 60% of addicts who eventually do quit usually on average relapse about 7 times before they quit. His behavior was completely normal for the situation he was going through. And hopefully this showed you some stuff. We're gonna go into a little more about Courtney Love, Tom Grant, Callie, and Jessica. So we're gonna get into a little further, some more further details. You could go. What do we have? We're up to video 6, I think.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a little thing with Billy Corbin. He's lead singer of Smashing Pumpkins. So for those of you who don't know, he had a relationship. He was with Courtney Love before Courtney was with Kurt. So
okay.
This is getting personal, but it's a story, isn't it? The story that I heard the other day about Mr. Atencio, my partner for many years here in Los Angeles, the former manager of Joy Division, New Order, Jane's Addiction, that Tom, once upon a time, many years ago, thought he was managing whole. He decided that the future for Courtney was to give her $750. It
was actually $1,100, but I didn't want to correct him.
No, well, okay. So just explain to me.
You know why it was $1,100? Because she wanted me to give her the money to give back to him.
Okay. The idea was she would go to Chicago to get her band support out on your tour. Is that right? You tell me.
No, she wanted to come. She was in love with me and wanted to come to Chicago to see me, and that's what she told him to get the money.
Oh, she told Tom, "I'll go to Chicago and get on the Smashing Pumpkins tour."
Yeah, I'll go to Chicago and fuck Billy Corgan on a Smashing Pumpkins tour. But what he didn't know is she'd already fucked me.
Okay, fine. So he gives her $1,100.
She didn't have to come to Chicago to get on the tour.
Oh, so she came to Chicago and.
I wasn't expecting her.
Didn't she phone you saying should she come?
She called me and said, "Well, how do you feel about me coming to Chicago?" And I sort of ambivalently said, "Sure." And by which she informed me, "I'm already here. I'm at the airport."
And you're with your girlfriend at this point. So
she showed up looking very sexy. I kind of freaked out and tossed her out on her ear.
Yes.
Not thinking that she was going to walk 5 minutes down the block and run into Kurt Cobain, and the rest is history.
Which she did.
Yeah, they were together, and then the next morning she called me asking me if she could come over to my place. By which I said, "Well, if you slept with, rock star A, you can't come back to rock star B."
Right. Interesting,
Wow.
right?
Yeah. Holy cow.
Yeah.
So that just shows more of her history. That's how she was. Like it's not something that started with Kurt. That was how she was pretty much her whole life.
Yep.
Or is. I should have been.
Yeah.
I mean, she was very manipulative from it all the way back. I mean, if you just look at her track record, she would, get close to people that could help her career, and she would use, her feminine wiles to get close to these people that had some influence and could help her. I mean, everybody knows this. I'm not breaking any news here.
Yeah. So we discover that Courtney Love was actually intimate with Billy Corgan. She was having somewhat of a fling with him right up until the day she meets Kurt Cobain. Even tries to go back to Billy, but he decides, "You can't come back now." And in other interviews, Billy even goes as far to say that Kurt stole his girlfriend. This is something clearly that the average guy cannot get away with, but rock stars get away with having multiple girlfriends, right?
Yep.
You can go to video 7.
All right.
When those albums were new, when Nirvana would put out an album, would you run out, buy the album, take it home?
You didn't have to. They were everywhere.
Right.
But everywhere you went, you're like, "Oh, God, I got to hear this."
And you'd hear that, and it would actually depress you probably. Because,
probably, yeah.
Because you say, "Shit."
Well, he was also living with my ex-girlfriend.
Is that right?
Well, yeah.
Wait a second. Wait a second. Who was he living with? Was Courtney?
Courtney.
She was your ex-girlfriend?
Yeah.
Why did I know that?
Total public knowledge.
Yeah, but I didn't realize the timeline.
Yeah.
How did she get to be every cool guy's girlfriend?
Well, she had her ways.
Yeah. So, um, so we've been tracing Kurt's footsteps from April 2nd, 94 up until April 5th, 94, the day that he died. Now, okay, so now we're going to talk a bit more about Tom Grant, Courtney Love, Jessica Hopper, and Michael Callie DeWitt, as well as some other characters, Dr. Hartshorn, Detective Don Cameron, and the very first officer who went in and saw Kurt's body, the electrician. So now, if we go past Kurt's death and look at Courtney's behavior after the world has learned her husband is dead. So on April 3rd, Easter Sunday, while Kurt Cobain is in Seattle, in his stomping grounds, feeding his addiction, hanging out on the Aurora Strip, Capitol Hill, Courtney Love is in Los Angeles calling a private investigator. When she calls Tom Grant and his partner, Ben Clarkman, what she actually tells them is that her and her husband's credit card has been stolen. She wants them to trace it. She wants them to track the thief and make them pay. Tom originally told her, well, you could really just cancel the card, call the local police. Doesn't sound like that big of a deal. Private investigators are kind of expensive. That's when Courtney comes back with, well, we're famous. I'll pay you well and come meet, she says, come meet me at the Peninsula Hotel. Anybody who's running a business would jump on that opportunity, of course. Remember that at this point, Tom has no reason to believe anything weird's going on. He just knows a celebrity has called him and that this is a chance to enhance his career working for a celebrity, getting paid well. They tell their celebrity friends, if you ever need a PI, so I can't blame Tom for jumping on an opportunity, especially in whether it was Easter Sunday or not. And he does. He goes for an initial consultation with Courtney Love at her hotel room and the Peninsula Hotel. So you could play video 8 here.
A divorce is going to happen is if I bust him for infidelity.
Has he been unfaithful?
Yes, I think so.
Courtney, on several occasions, mentioned that she thought Kurt might be having an affair with Kristen Paff, her bass player. She was very jealous, and she also felt like he might be having an affair with Kate.
So,
and that's a whole path we will be going down at some point. Is Kristen Paff.
Just
not tonight, but we will.
Right. So when he first knocks on the door, the first thing Courtney says, if you leak this, I'll sue the fuck out of you. And well, hello. Right off the bat, he's left with a bad taste in his mouth. Courtney proceeds to tell him a completely different story, which immediately raises his suspicion. The card, in fact, was not stolen. Matter of fact, Kurt has just ran away from a rehab, and she's called the credit card company to find out that he's bought a plane ticket and headed back to Seattle. She had said that. So she tells Tom that Kurt is highly suicidal. Everybody knows it. We need to find him. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, this is all classic signs of abuse. Okay, you are controlling a person's finances. You are controlling where they go. I mean, she slashed tires on 2 of his vehicles. Okay.
Yeah.
She's trying any which way she can to control every move this man made. No wonder he ran away from the rehab just to get the frig away from her and maybe have some freedom. Now, okay, granted, he went off and he was doing drugs or whatever he was doing, but it's kind of no wonder. There was no way. I mean, he was going to have to fight her tooth and nail for custody of their baby girl. And again, using her as a weapon, as happens many times in abusive situations, where the victim is trapped in that kind of situation. So, people obviously didn't realize kind of the desperate situation Kurt was in, but yet he was still trying to turn his life around. He wasn't despondent. He might have been somewhat depressed, but he was turning his life
Yeah,
around and getting control again, and she couldn't have that.
yeah. It was all about his daughter. He was trying to do it
Yep.
all for his daughter. Go ahead, JJ.
That sex must have been really good, man.
Right? I'm
Because
curious.
Eh,
Shut up, Robin. Shut up.
sorry for stating. I mean,
yeah,
she's able to get
I was just
these
gonna say,
rock
I'm sure she's
stars.
not the only one who could.
yeah.
Groupies. That's
Right. So, but at the same time, she tells Tom that she thinks he's having an affair with his drug dealer, Caitlin Moore, the same drug dealer that lives right around the corner at Jack in the Box in Capitol Hill. At this point, she does not necessarily want Tom to find Kurt. All she wants him to do is put surveillance on Caitlin Moore's apartment complex. Interesting, right? That's what this all was about. And he does. He subcontracts out to a Seattle private investigator, and they start surveilling Caitlin Moore's apartment complex. That's why Tom's suspicions were raised. This is why he started taking meticulous notes and recording those phone conversations. Here's a woman who, yeah, it's a terrible thing that your husband may be having an affair, and people do this thing. They do hire private investigators to find out if their spouse is cheating on them or not through surveillance. But the only way that a divorce is going to happen is if she would bust him for infidelity. Has he been unfaithful? Yes. So Courtney, on several occasions, mentioned that she thought Kurt might be having an affair with Kristen Pfaff, her bass player. She was very jealous, and she also felt like he might be having an affair with Caitlin. But people do this, but it's almost like it's like legalized stalking, kind of like people hire.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
So you could look at it that way, and at this point, Courtney, she knows that Kurt has left her. He's getting a divorce, so her hiring a private investigator to watch him, to surveil his friends, to see if he comes around them and what he's doing with them. That's where you get the stalking. If you're still married to someone and you just want to know what they're doing behind your back, it's understandable. We get it, but it's what it is. But at the same time, someone tells you we're getting a divorce, I'm finished with you, we're done, and then you hire someone to go watch what they're doing. That's, to me, that's kind of it's like a kind of form of stalking. it really is. So
yeah, and like this comment here from Secret Soul Survivor, she was projecting a lot of her own behavior onto Kurt.
Yeah.
That's I like that. Yeah. That it seems like it. She was accusing him of all the shit that she was doing. So
right. So Tom thought that this was very superficial, the affair, the credit card, and when it comes to somebody being suicidal, he initially wanted to go to Seattle, but she wouldn't pay for it. So she will not pay the travel expenses, anything. And after all, he's a hired gun. he's being hired for a job.
Mm-hmm.
She says, I want to put surveillance on Caitlin Moore's apartment complex. That's what I'm paying you for at this point in time. And
Yeah.
we'll talk again. Let's see where we can go from there. So he works for her, so that's what he does. Now on April 4th, things start to change. Tom had taken on a case right before the Kurt Cobain case that had ended in tragedy. It also involved rich people who were staying at the Peninsula Hotel. You could play video 9.
Let me make sure I have the right one.
Why did you tape those conversations?
I just come off another case that started off suspiciously with some conflicting statements being made to us and about a missing 18-year-old girl. And a week later, she ended up dead in a dumpster in Hollywood. And as Ben Klugman and I walked out of the room from talking to Courtney and listening to all these conflicting things that were going on, all the lies that she'd been planting in the press and telling us about, as I walked down the hall, I said, we're going to document everything here. We're going to tape every phone conversation. We're not going to let this happen again. Who knows where this is going.
Yeah. So
No.
it's very interesting because in California, at that time, in California, you're not allowed to. It's the same thing in New York here as well. You can't just tape record someone conversation unless they know about it.
Right.
So he was willing. He didn't even he thought that all of this stuff was so weird that what was going on, he was willing to take that chance, which is really interesting.
Thank God he did.
Right. So because this is a big thing. Remember, when he said it's from the first time, that he would, if she did try to sue him, if she ever made an issue out of it, he was willing to take that risk because then she would have to go under a deposition. So
yeah,
that's exactly what was brought up. Is exactly sort of like another case that he handled, the Paula Jones Bill Clinton case. He did the same thing. So he got to take Mr. Clinton to court because of the deposition there. So he's
like
pretty
Bill
smart.
May need court to get a lawyer again, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right. So Tom and Courtney hooked back up the next day in her hotel room, and the first thing she tells Tom is that she called the credit card company yet again. She found that Kurt had purchased 2 more plane tickets. When Tom asked her where to, she says she didn't know. They wouldn't tell me. Now, this is a bit strange because the previous day, she said the credit card company told her he purchased a plane ticket to Seattle. Now she's saying he also purchased 2 more plane tickets, but for some reason, now they won't tell her where to. Courtney suggests that perhaps Kurt went to Michael Stipe's house. Michael Stipe at the time lived in Athens, Georgia. That's where he's from. He's very obviously from REM, very famous. He likes to stay away from Hollywood and the limelight. He likes privacy. Kurt had become friends with him, and probably the big fact there is because he's a rock star and he learned how to stay out of the limelight and how to maintain privacy while still being a celebrity. Apparently, Michael Stipe and Kurt did have some music in the works, some songs they'd written together. Unfortunately for us, they had not hit the recording process yet. But
that's
mainly she was still pushing the affair thing. She's saying, who is the other ticket for? He has to be having an affair. Somebody's flying with him. And this is where it changes from having an affair to, I think Kurt's with somebody else. I think he wants a divorce. So it's, I think, really probably starting to hit home in her mind. And Tom says, "What makes you say that?" And she says, "Oh, he left me a note in Rome. He's leaving me," which is uh, which is another thing for a rock star to have an affair. But we've really got to get to the root of the issue. So divorce. Courtney's own entertainment attorney, Rosemary Carroll, said that Kurt was in the process of divorcing Courtney at the time of his death, and that he had asked Rosemary to take Courtney out of the will. They had a prenuptial agreement. Courtney would not receive a dime in the event of a divorce. Contrary to popular belief, Courtney Love hires Tom Grant to find Kurt Cobain, but she does not hire Tom Grant to find, Kurt Cobain for his well-being, to speak to Kurt Cobain. The main purpose she hired Tom Grant is to catch Kurt being unfaithful. That's what it was all about. That's why she wanted surveillance on Caitlin Moore and Kristen Pfaff. And had Kristen Pfaff been in Seattle at the time, she probably would have had surveillance put on Kristen's apartment as well. But she specifically yeah.
Do you think that was just a ruse? I mean, what better way to kind of deflect the suspicion is, yeah, I hired this investigator, but only because I wanted him to, you know, see if Kurt was cheating on me, so it
Right,
would look again like
yeah, but she didn't
wasn't.
tell him that. But that's
No.
not. But that's what I mean. So I get what you're saying, but I don't think it was a ruse for her. Because she's just she hired him, and that's really what he was being used for. I think she knew that he was going to file for divorce, and she wanted to use that to try to get custody of
So
the
she was
child.
trying to get dirt on Kurt in order to use in court.
Right.
Okay.
That's what I feel. I mean, I could be wrong, but
hey guys, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Okay.
No
Be right
problem.
back.
So, and that's why she wanted surveillance on Kevin Moore. Had Kristen Pfaff been in Seattle at the time, she would have had surveillance put on Kristen's apartment as well. She specifically gives Tom instructions that when he finds Kurt Cobain to not approach Kurt Cobain, to not let Kurt Cobain know that he is being watched. She sets now. This is interesting, and this is like what you were getting at earlier, Robin. She sets Tom to the task of calling big fancy hotels.
Right.
She says Kurt likes to stay in big fancy hotels and usually uses one of two aliases, Simon Ritchie or Bill Bailey. Tom has no clue that we have learned. Kurt actually liked to stay at very cheap motels, specifically the Crest Motel and Marco Polo. Courtney knew this. This was common knowledge.
Lying her ass off.
Yeah. This was common knowledge among the inner circle. Courtney sets Tom to the wild goose chase down this rabbit hole of calling the most expensive hotels all over Seattle, knowing that her husband liked to stay at the Marco Polo, even in specific room 226. Never once does Courtney mention this to Tom Grant. So
that guy, there are some investigators who just would have been like, after so long, they would have just been like, you know what, I didn't sign up for this kind of in a way, but I think it was kind of like his sense of duty that kept him kind of hanging in there as long as he did. I mean,
Right.
that to me, because some of the shit she pulled, he not every investigator would have stuck it out like he did.
Right. Right, exactly. So the next day is a Monday, and he hadn't had any success with the nice hotels in Seattle. So they began calling some smaller hotels. And they located a motel where a Bill Bailey was registered at. Um, and he wanted to bring some of his guys over there to see if it was Kurt. She right away says, "No, I don't want Kurt knowing that I'm looking for him. You know, um, just have them watch the hotel, okay?" Tom does as he's ordered and calls the subcontractor, the Seattle PI, and says, "Go to this hotel. There's a Bill Bailey there. See if you can spot Kurt Cobain. Just surveil him. Don't let him aware of your presence." 15, 20 minutes later, Courtney calls him back saying she herself called the hotel and that it wasn't Kurt, which confuses Tom. That's like she just said, "I don't want him to know that I'm there." I mean,
Right.
I don't want him to know that you're there. So why would
Right.
she call, So this was like really wacko. He says you said you didn't want him knowing that we were onto him, that we knew where he was. You want to catch him being unfaithful, but now you're telling me that you called yourself to try and talk to him. So she led Tom to believe the whole point he was being hired was to catch this guy being unfaithful in the hopes that Courtney can avoid the prenuptial agreement.
Oh wow.
That's what our whole thing was about. But it starts.
Thank you
Yeah.
to Suzanne
Oh.
for becoming a member. We appreciate that very, very much. Welcome aboard.
Yes, thank you. But it starts to really seem like she just wants to know Kurt's location. Over the next
Yeah.
couple of days, Courtney's going to obsessively speak with Rosemary Carroll and Tom Grant about a divorce, about money, about how she can get her hands on the most money possible. But hold on a second, because more on these tapes, she doesn't just talk about money. She talks about affairs. So she's talking about prenuptial agreement, and she says they know, despite the prenuptial, that her name is on all their homes and all their assets. So I don't want a divorce out of this. The only way a divorce is going to happen is if I bust him. We're going to get infidelity. So no, this is interesting because this is an interesting tidbit that's going to come up. I don't know if people are aware. Notice how she says our homes, our assets. The reason why Kurt and Courtney have a prenuptial agreement is actually when they got married. Do you know that Courtney had more money than Kurt? People probably don't know that.
I did not know that.
Remember, she had a trust fund. Plus, Hole had achieved some indie success, some underground, like 100,000 copies. Before Nirvana would break through just a couple of months later, and Kurt would become a millionaire. But at the time that they got married, she wanted the point of a prenup to be separate. This is what's yours. This is what's mine. Whatever you make is yours. Whatever I make is mine during our marriage. But by the end of the marriage, all of a sudden, it goes from her saying, we're going to separate everything to, everything is ours. So a lot of people don't know that the prenup was arranged by Courtney, not by Kurt. Courtney's also worried.
Oh.
Yeah. Courtney's also worried about what Kurt cheating on her, divorcing her, is going to do to her career, which we've mentioned several times. You got to kind of go back in time a little bit. Back in the 90s, it was very difficult. It was difficult for a band to make it rich in the music industry. We played a little bit before, the Billy Corgan interview, and they go on to talk about how the guy's partner, who thought he was managing Hole, loses out on that money, and then sees Courtney Love a couple of weeks later on MTV sitting next to Kurt Cobain and says, "Oh, well, I guess Kurt Cobain's people are going to be managing Hole now." So, I think she went out to Minneapolis, and the next thing you know, they were getting married, and it was all this thing. Well, the next thing I heard, Tennessee was watching TV 3 weeks later, and suddenly he sees Kurt being interviewed at this very early MTV interview. And then right next to him is his former protege, Courtney. He realizes that that's the end. That's the end. That's the end of this $1,100. It's the end because she'll obviously become managed by Kurt's management, and Kurt's whole thing would go. And he was right. That's how things rolled in the 90s. It was all about who you knew, and sometimes literally who you blew.
Yeah.
Hole becomes managed by David Geffen Records. Why? Because Kurt Cobain goes to David Geffen and says, "This is my woman. She's a band, and I'm the best artist you have. You're going to manage her too." That's how much power Kurt Cobain had in the music industry in the 90s. He could literally tell David Geffen himself who he was going to manage and who he wasn't. Courtney knows if they get this divorce, the last thing Kurt is going to want is to be on tour with Hole. She's going to lose her mainstream record label. One other thing to mention about I don't think if you listen to the interview again, I don't think Billy Corgan realizes that Courtney Love was actually swindling him as well. If you watch the interview, the guy says, "Yeah, my partner gave Courtney Love $1,100. So $750." And then Billy says, "No, actually, it was $1,100 because she asked me to pay him back." It never occurred to Billy that Courtney may have taken $750 and she's just trying to swindle $350 more out of Billy. So he's been manipulated by Courtney, and he doesn't even realize that she's lying to him as well. A lot of people don't realize that Courtney Love was obsessed with being a rock star. Courtney Love journals her whole life. All she ever wanted was to be rich and famous and to be a rock star. More than anything, she dreamed of fame, writing about it night after night in her journal. We know that her record was released on April 12th, 1994, just a week after Kurt Cobain's death. How insane is that?
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Speculation with this, a lot of people thought that it was in bad taste to release a record called "Live Through This" 1 week after your husband dies. But in my opinion, Courtney Love did not really care about Kurt Cobain anymore at this time. She probably did not love him anymore. All Courtney Love cared about was what Kurt Cobain could do for her career. So she would have lost everything.
Can I interject for a second?
Go right ahead.
Go ahead.
Because I know there's a lot of big music fans in the chat. I'm seeing they're going off, and I was a big fan of that music scene. Chris Cornell, Lane Staley, Kurt Cobain, a lot of that stuff. Courtney, Hole had a following.
Yeah.
Before she hooked up with Kurt, But
Right.
think about it. You hook up with literally the guy who's considered the voice of a generation, and his band, Nevermind, was a game changer, right? There was a lot
Yeah.
going on in Seattle before that, but Nevermind, because Nirvana by no stretch was like the first great band out of that area. I mean, Soundgarden came before them. There were other bands,
Right.
but they blew up so big that they were on Sub Pop Records for their first record. I know a lot of you music nerds all know this, but when they got signed to Geffen Records, like Nevermind was, forget it, beyond all
Yeah.
success. So to your point about what you said before, her hooking up with Kurt also was how she hooked up with Geffen Records, which
Yep.
was the biggest record
Yep.
label at the time. And, Guns N' Roses was on Geffen and all these massive, massive bands. So for her, it was more than what we were all alluding to. It was more, not just the money thing directly related to Nirvana. It was her career, her music career. And, I mean, that's a really important point because Geffen, biggest label in the world. You notice how Hole blew up after they signed to Geffen. I mean, that all of a sudden you get a record label behind you that can fund world tours. Like small labels can barely afford that shit. And all of a sudden you're on the biggest record label in the world, which was Geffen Records. You're touring all over the place, and I'm just, my brain was going all over the place when you started talking about that because like I told you guys, I just read the Kristen Pfaff biography, and she talks a lot. She kind of, in the information that she had told people she was friends with and her family and stuff, a lot of this stuff kind of bubbles up, in that biography as well. So anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to derail you there. I just
No, it's fine. It's fine.
No, that's okay.
That's fine. So, what would have meant to her band Hole? Well, as JJ was just alluding to what we're talking about here. But if they would have got divorced, it would have definitely lessened their appeal because Kurt Cobain was the most powerful rock star at the time. He was so powerful, had so much influence that even after his death, he continued to inspire teenagers. Anyone who grew up in the 90s. I mean, it lasted like the whole time. It was like he was still alive.
Just real quick, I just wanted to give a shout out to Wise Lady Young
Oh,
Mind
thank you.
for the gift.
Yep.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. She says, I'm so interested in this whole topic since I have lived in Seattle my whole life. Thank you. And thank you for the gift. We really appreciate it. And for you tuning in. And it really means a lot to us. So thank you.
So now talking about Courtney a little bit here, which this is a huge point, and I guess she kind of knew that it was happening because Kurt was just, as I said, he was kind of the John Lennon of the 90s. He had a humongous reach. So for Courtney Love, she gave alternative females who were getting into music, basically, an outlet there of the punk grunge. So Courtney Love, to a lot of the females, Courtney Love was in a way like their Kurt Cobain. They accepted her. Females accepted her as their number one rock goddess but it's because of Kurt Cobain. Now imagine if Kurt had went through with divorcing Courtney, none of that would have ever happened. Everybody would have been like, she must have been a really, shitty person, bad person. If Kurt doesn't like her, why should we give her a chance? By him dying, Courtney got to hold on to that influence for forever, for the rest of her life. She wasn't going to allow something superficial like the death of her husband to stop the release of her major record label debut. She insisted that it be released. They wanted to postpone it. They thought it was in poor taste, and she said, no, she's come this far. Um, so, just to be clear, um, to be specific, we're not saying here that we're not saying that females can't be rock stars. That's not what I mean.
Oh
That's
no,
not what
no.
I'm not saying that at all. And Courtney Love, what we're saying is Courtney Love she was riding Kurt Cobain's coattails, and we all know it. Even Billy Corgan, he even said in multiple interviews that he wrote whole songs and that Kurt probably wrote some of them as well. So it would address. We're going to address something. This is kind of a lot of people know about it, but we'll mention it here. We haven't really gotten to it yet, but it's another layer of the onion, if you want to call it that. So before we go on to Seattle, as we have a little bit more to talk about on Jessica Hopper and Callie DeWitt on April 4th, but we have to talk about court. So now we're at the point Courtney Love fills out a missing persons report, and she signs Wendy O'Connor, Kurt Cobain's mother's name, and puts on it that he's in possession of a shotgun and he's suicidal. And this is where the myth comes from that Kurt was suicidal. This is where it all begins. So, if in fact, Courtney never came forward with the fact that she was the one who filed the missing persons report for quite a long a long time. We did not know this. On April 8th, we see MTV News standing in front of Linda's Tavern, the last place Kurt was spotted speaking with Charles Peterson. Remember, the photographer who gave grunge a face. And standing right in front of Linda's Tavern saying that it was Wendy O'Connor. On April 4th, Kurt Cobain's mother, Wendy O'Connor, filed a missing persons report on her son because he reportedly fled, the rehab facility, and she didn't clarify whether it was a drug treatment center or not, but that's what people were speculating. She was worried about Kurt because he had a shotgun in his possession. She considered him suicidal. Later, when Tom Grant asked her why she used Kurt's mother's identity, her excuse is, well, no one would have taken me seriously. And she's probably right about that. By the end of the day on April 4th, Tom says, why don't you just let me go to Seattle and I'll move this along more quickly. I can find him easier. After all, he's in Seattle. I should be in Seattle too. She says, no, I'm paying for the travel expenses. And he says, well, let's put surveillance on the house. If you want to catch him having an affair and you're out of town, he's probably going to end up bringing a woman home with him. She says, oh no, Callie's there. He'll let me know if Kurt shows up. So here we go again. You see the contradiction. You see the contradiction again. Kurt shows up in the house, right? He sees Jessica and Callie when he first gets there, right? 6 a.m. And he has a conversation with Callie, but
yeah,
no, but no, but
wow,
it's just interesting because they're there. She just right there. Oh no, Callie's there. You know, that's her. That's one of her pawns. It's a pawn. That's
Right.
what they are. Now, previously, she had told Tom Callie was the biggest liar she'd ever met in her life, or the best liar she met. Now she's saying, "Oh, Callie will tell me." Well,
I'm
that
sorry, I
Kurt,
just have to
yeah,
laugh. You're telling your private investigator that
yeah,
one of your close allies or lackeys or whatever is the best
right,
liar. Like, okay, all right.
right. So by April 4th, Courtney still hasn't told Tom Grant that Kurt was in fact in the home, and we know that she knows, right?
Oh yeah,
There's no
yes, she
question that
knows.
she knew. Tom he's unaware of this at this time, and later, the excuse will be used. Well, Callie thought it was just a dream. That's the
Sounds
explanation.
familiar.
Yeah, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
Yes, it does. It's
Is it
funny,
real
right?
or just a dream?
Yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
tell you?
It's funny you said that. So he didn't really think that Kurt sat on the edge of his bed, and he actually never told that Kurt showed up at the house. He thought it was all a dream. Even though Jessica Hopper has a completely different story. As we know, she said that she in fact had Kurt call Courtney's hotel room, and on top of that, 8 phone calls were placed between Lake Seattle, Washington home, or Lake Washington, Seattle home, and the Peninsula Hotel on April 2nd. So it would move up to Seattle on April 4th, and see what Callie and Jessica are up to. Now, Monday, April 4th, Callie had left the house for the evening, and Jessica claims that she heard noises around midnight. She quotes, she heard footsteps upstairs in the hall. That's what she claims.
Was the person wearing a black balaclava?
They were walking with a purpose, not tiptoeing about. So I assumed that it was Kurt. She called out hello, but got no answer. And this is all Jessica Hopper says she did. Supposedly the guy's missing. Everybody thinks he's suicidal. He's got a shotgun. And Jessica Hopper doesn't get off her lazy ass and walk upstairs to talk to Kurt. The man, the person who's allowing her to live in his home. The man that has introduced her into the music critic career that she still has to this day. She has no respect for him. She does not even try to speak to him, not even as a friend, to say, "Are you okay? Is there anything I can do for you? I want to help you, Kurt." People are saying that you're really down and out. She just goes back to bed. Sounds like Dylan, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody just goes back to bed after something bad happens,
Right.
or something weird happens. I've never done that though. If something weird happens, I'm freaking up. I'm not going back to bed.
Callie was out for the evening. Supposedly Jessica hears a noise. There's probably no doubt Jessica probably did hear Kurt Cobain because the next morning it's estimated that he killed himself at sunrise around on April 5th. So that means he had to come home the evening of April 4th, or at least sometime during the night of April 4th. Jessica Hopper had an opportunity to speak to him, but she didn't do it. Do you know why? She claims the house was freezing. That was her excuse. That there was no food in the house, and she was sick, and she had to get back in bed to get warm.
Okay.
So Kurt loses life, but she was so sick and cold that she had to go back in bed. The bed that was paid for, the house that he paid for. Very, very interesting.
Yeah. Isn't it though? Oh my gosh. Wow.
Well, I mean, it was like at that point, it was like a flop house, you know,
Yeah.
in many ways.
Yeah.
Like people were the redacted clip that I sent you one that's about that Joseph Burns.
Yeah, I gotta take a
stuff.
look at that.
But yeah, they were talking about that. The guy on Redacted was like, yeah, I mean, it sounds like it was a flop house. There's just people that were into the drug scene and were sort of in the periphery of the music scene. We're just all flopping there, you know? And I mean, that's never a good situation, right? Especially if, you know, whether Kurt was relapsing or not, which by I think most logical estimations he probably was, you know, if he
He's
was
showing
going,
signs, right? He's showing
if he was
signs that he
going the
was,
Aurora
but-
Strip and he
right.
was in that area. Like, I have never personally had a serious drug problem, but I have people very close to me who did.
Right.
And I mean, like, I experienced things that having to deal with them and get them from places and things like that. And when I was young, so a lot of times they'll go to a shitty motel somewhere and to go get high, you know, basically.
Yeah.
But that was like the environment. It sounds like that was happening at the house.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow. Well, do we want to leave it there for tonight
Yeah.
and then pick up next week?
Yeah,
with,
we're moving
getting-
along. We're getting there.
Yep. So
And
but,
once you and Robin too, you know, if you could send that to Robin,
I'd like
that
to see it.
interview. It's at the very least, it's interesting. I don't know if I fully believe it, you know, because who knows what Joseph Burns' motivations were for putting it out, and the guy, the writer guy, but it does present things in a slightly different way, and it's interesting.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, we'll check that out definitely. So
Yeah.
well,
And we're
something happened today exciting I wanted to share with everyone.
Oh, I know.
Today we hit
Yes.
14,000 subscribers.
Yay.
So proud of DA. So proud of him.
Yes.
And
Good
we
stuff.
can do this without you guys. You are a tremendous community. So proud of the community that we have built with you guys. And you know, this year started out with a little bit of a bang here, and it's only going to get better from there. So we, you know, really thank you guys.
Yeah.
Nice. That's
A lot
awesome.
of lots. Huge thank you to everyone involved. As a obviously Lee, the boss man, he is at head of the table, but there's a lot of important people, a lot of people behind the scenes in the back, all the mods, Cat Farm, Amanda, Penny, all of you guys, all you guys, and of course Robin does a million things. I help with a million different things, and the panel we have is great.
Oh my gosh. Hello,
everyone,
can I help you?
everyone, all of the whole panel together is just a feed off of it's feed off of everyone. We may not always agree, and that's not what it's about. We might not agree with every little thing that we all say,
No.
but we have a really good panel. JJ, you have your own fan club that has developed. People are dying.
Yep.
I see the chat. People are dying for you to get your get your channel out there and
Get
get
your
started.
channel
I know you
going,
will.
sir.
I know you will eventually.
Yeah, and you know what? I feel honored that I have now people shitting on me in the chat too, which is a really a badge of honor for me. Not this chat, but in some of the other ones, and I feel very honored about that and happy.
Yeah.
But you guys,
Well, you're making them
thanks for
think, JJ. You're
What's that?
making them think, and sometimes that's uncomfortable. People don't like to think
Right.
about differing opinions or look deeper than
Right.
sometimes.
It's
So,
exactly,
which
and
is
that's what right. People have to like realize when a lot of the stuff obviously comes from, whatever training, experience, research, and certain things. Obviously, things that JJ has experience with that he knows, but
right.
so a lot of the things that he's showing you, he never says like you have, oh, this is definite, this is what happened. It's a lot of it is about making you learn to think away from the mainstream, think about the bigger picture, think about the
Right.
thread, what is going on. They want you to look over here, but what's going on down the road, what is the bigger idea, what's the bigger picture. And I say that he some of the stuff and some of the things that he brings up, he's caused me to go back and think about certain things. So I
I
love
thank you guys for having me and accepting me and all the denizens and the meatballs and the mods, and I'm very thankful for it. And of course, to DA and to Dago and for everybody on the panel and in the chats, because it's what fuels the fire, right? It's what keeps things interesting, and it keeps you going, it keeps you thinking. And I'm glad that I was able to connect with you guys. It was really fortuitous the way it all happened. I mean, honestly.
Yeah. I know.
So
Absolutely.
thank you all again.
Yeah, well, thank you. And you should toot your own horn a little bit here. I mean, you're doing I don't even know. It's the vampire power. That's what it is.
It's true.
I know you have your family, you got your job, you got so we appreciate you for all that you do. And our team, we're having a love bomb. I don't give a shit. Our team is phenomenal. And then we have Dego and his crew, the blue crew, and the meatballs and the sauce, and just fitting so well. And now just last night, how cool is Logan? Okay, from Bronx Tales. How cool is she? You didn't get a chance to hang out with her, but you will.
You will.
I listened to the show, just so you know.
Yeah.
I listen.
But I mean,
I always
you
listen.
really, she is a smart woman. She has been following true crime since she was like 9 years old, which is just amazing to me. And plus, she's got a cute dog. Now, I mean, come on, what combination is better? True crime fan, smart, and she's got a cute dog, and she's just a lovely young lady. So
I look
mean,
forward to meeting her on stream.
Yes, you will. She's just she's got some interesting theories. I was watching a video. S and I were watching a video of hers today about this trucking company thing that is connected somehow to Christy G. So if you haven't seen that video, I don't have the link. Go over to Bronx Tales, and it's from Friday night. Yeah, it's from Friday night. So you got to watch it because it's really good. We have to finish it, but I'm super interested in that avenue. So, but anyway, yeah. So
I think
and tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I was just gonna say. No, I was gonna say kind of what you were saying. Go ahead. You say it. You go. You go.
Tomorrow night, DA is gonna be on Birdie. So, oh my God. Yeah, he's gonna be on Birdie. So we'll be back here Tuesday night. Same bet time, same bet channel. Oh, I should let you say that because you're the vampire one.
Yeah. I yeah. But yeah, thanks for everyone coming out. We're still covering this case. We
Yep.
do know. I know next Sunday is the Super Bowl, but none of my teams are in it or playing. So
Mine either.
we still intend to have
Yep.
a show if it. I know a bunch. I know a bunch of people are want to see the Super Bowl no matter what, and that's fine. We discussed it, but as from Queen, the show must go on. So
Yeah. And there's always the replay crew. The replay crew, how good are you guys? I mean, just how fantastic are you guys? So, but we appreciate you just as much. So, don't feel like if you can't make lives that we don't love you too, because we do. So, but all right. Well, with that, we will bid you all adieu. And again, tomorrow night, tune in on Birdie's channel, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, so 6 p.m. I don't know. I can't do the math.
no. 5. I think it's 5. 5. It should be 5 p.m. Pacific. I think.
Yeah, 5
Right?
p.m. Pacific. Yeah.
5 p.m. Yeah, it's 8 p.m. Eastern. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we will see you then. And again, back here on our channel then for Tuesday night. So, everyone have a wonderful evening.
Yeah.
And we will see you later.
Good night,
Good
everybody.
night, everyone. Good night, guys.